Greetings, my diamonds. My name is Abiso, and I speak on all things self-development and real estate. Today, we're looking at a video in careers in real estate. So let's get into it. For the purposes of this video, I want to define what real estate is actually meant, right? So I'm going to be looking at everything that entails with property after it has been built. So I'm not going to be looking at your quantity surveying, anything in construction. After it has been built, or sometimes looking at the financing of real estate, right? So the first career we need to look at is a property manager or an estate manager. So an estate manager is the person who really is appointed by the managing agent, or rather the body corporate of a complex, and that person is responsible for fulfilling the daily activities to enable that complex to run efficiently. Right, so the starting salary of a estate manager is 24,000 Rand, and this is via pay scale. What qualification is required? You don't require a degree. Most of the real estate careers require you to have good project management skills. Then I want to move on to number 2, a commercial broker. Now, a commercial broker is the same as a real estate agent, but they're looking at commercial properties, and commercial properties are your big leases. For example, acquiring the Discovery building, right? The person that was responsible for structuring that lease agreement, right, would have been a commercial broker. Now, commercial brokers are paid in commission, but sometimes they have a basic salary, depending on how big the commercial company that they're working for is. Qualification, this one is very hard. Sometimes commercial brokers come from a finance background, but your entry level commercial brokers don't require much of a qualification, again, project management. But obviously, if you're now looking at your bigger companies, your Growth Point, those like big property groups, sometimes they require some level of commercial finance background, right? Again, I'm going to say here the average salary, I don't know, because they are highly commission-based earners. All right, moving on to facilities manager. A facilities manager here is the person who is responsible for having the aircon set at that very low temperature when you walk into your office. A facilities manager is the person responsible for the IT infrastructure in the building, responsible for ensuring that the elevators are working, the fire extinguishers are working. All of those smaller people, in terms of smaller roles of the fire extinguishers, the aircon, the electricity usage, all of those people report to the facilities manager. The facility manager makes sure that the facility is operating at optimal level. An entry level role in a facilities manager starts at 35,000 Rand, and that's a person who has had 3 to 5 years experience. It's entry to mid-level type of where you are in your career. Qualification for this, there are various short courses you can take. So some people take environmental health and safety. You can become a facilities manager through that. There is actually a postgraduate diploma in facilities management at the University of Witwatersrand. So if you look at, I think the one big company is Mutseng Investments, the one by Ipileng Mkhari. That is a company that looks at facilities management, right? So that would be your managing agent. I'm not sure how it works in that world. So you'd employ their services to manage that facility. They say it has a lot of money because, I mean, it's like a recurring revenue, because to manage a facility is a month-to-month thing, and it's, whereas where you sell a property, it's a once-off. Different strokes for different folks, right? Then I want to move on and speak about a property valuer, right? Now, property valuer has to be registered at with a body. South African Council of Property Valuers, right? You need to be qualified. You need to have done a qualifying degree that allows you to register with the South African Council of Property Valuers. I know 2 universities that offer this degree. It's a Bachelor of Sciences. It's in the EBE faculty in Property Studies, right? I know WITS offers one, and I know UCT offers one, right? And what you do here allows you entry into to register as a candidate valuer with the South African Council of Property Valuers. What you then do as a property valuer, you literally value properties. If you're familiar with accounting practices, you'll have your notes to your balance sheet. Then you have that property, note 1, I think is property, plant and equipment. Then you get that revaluation gain, revaluation of land and buildings. Those figures usually come from a property valuer, right? And if you move up in society, you can become a chartered valuer, or they call it a chartered surveyor. That is, you need to be registered with the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, which is an institute that is based in London. So sworn valuations are really important in usually disputes, right? Various disputes which might occur. They might bring in a valuer to tell us what the actual value of the property is. Valuers are also useful in the financial services sector. So sometimes as a valuer, you can work as a commercial property finance. I know the biggest employer of valuers is DDP, because that's the biggest property valuation company in the country. And some valuers also work for the municipality. Then we move on to an interior designer. An interior designer is a difficult one, because there are a lot of design schools you go to, but there isn't necessarily a qualification called interior design. I lie. I know CPUT may have one, but it's a very free-flowing industry. It means that you don't have to have that qualification to practice as a interior designer. I know a lot of architects transition into becoming interior designers, because design is quite a huge aspect of the qualification, right? Again, interior designers is it's a niche industry, and you can't really determine the average salary of an interior designer, because it's a highly entrepreneurial industry. It's not like it's a once-off thing. It's not like every month you are responsible for being the interior designer for Discovery, right? It's like a once-off project. So the salary there can be determined on a project basis. So that's why it's very difficult to determine what the average salary of an interior designer is. It depends again on how big your network is and how big you are in the industry. Then a conveyancer. I've put in a conveyancer here because I feel like this is a property related career. A conveyancer is an admitted attorney of the High Court, right? So a conveyancer, in terms of qualifications, you need to have your LLB, you need to have served your articles, right? And then after all of that, lawyers tend to specialize, and a specialty in law is called conveyancing. So these are the people that are responsible for the transferring of properties, right? Any property transaction cannot happen without a conveyancer. Starting salary here is 24,000, and that's one with less than 1 year experience. We can determine an average here because you are able to work at a conveyancing law firm, and every month you can do property transactions, right? But then again, it depends how big is that conveyancing department or that conveyancing firm. So you need to become an admitted attorney. So LLB, that's the qualification you need. But when you start your own conveyancing firm, you can make a lot of money. I know real estate agents who are conveyancers. So a lot of real estate agents now are starting to become double, I don't want to call them double agents, but they're practicing in two areas of a transaction, right? So in order for a good property transaction to take place, or in order for a good property investment to happen, you need 5 things. You need a real estate agent, you need a good accountant, you need a conveyancer, so a good law team, and you need good financing, right? The financing, and you need the entrepreneur, the person who will go out and find these deals. So a lot of agents, right? I can become a real estate agent and something else. So a lot of real estate agents a lot of conveyancers become real estate agents, because now it means you get the commission and you also get the transferring fee. Which is what I am, is a real estate agent, and I can also I can also analyze deals with the numbers. So I'm in the accountant and the agent, right? So I can tell you whether the investment is good or not because I know that language, right? So that's what we're seeing happening in the industry currently. And quite frankly, investors want 2 for the price of 1, right? Why am I going to go find an estate agent and an attorney when I can get an attorney and an agent in one person, right? So that's what we are seeing. Let's move on. Then we look at a real estate agent, which is something I've just explained. Real estate agent, again, your earning potential as an agent is unlimited. You don't have an average salary. You determine your salary. The amount of input you put in determines the output, and it's the hardest job. I can tell you that for free. It's the hardest job with the highest rewards, the highest risk, right? What qualification do you need? You need a matric certificate. If you have a matric certificate and an agency willing to train you, they will get you to the proficient level of being a real estate agent. A real estate agent is a commission-based earner, and a commission-based earner, you earn a percentage on the sale of a property, right? So there's a very low barrier to entry here to become an agent, but again, can you stay an agent? That's where the difficulty comes in. Then the next thing we have is a maintenance administrator. A maintenance administrator is a person who works for a real estate agency firm that also does rentals, or a property management agency, or a managing agent. A maintenance administrator is the person responsible, usually when your lights are out, they're the ones to call a person to go fix the light bulb, to call the plumber, to call a contractor to come out to the property. They are administering the maintenance. No qualification is usually required in this job. I would say it's interesting pay. The pay range is very big, depending on whether you're the maintenance administrator of a complex or the maintenance administrator of a managing agent, you know. So if your agency manages about 50 properties, your salary may be a bit low as opposed to 2,000 properties. Or you're a maintenance administrator in a commercial property fund, right? So that's you're going to be on the higher end of the earning spectrum. Usually, project management skills are required. Average salary, if you average out the commercial and the residential, we're looking at 15,000. But obviously in the commercial sector, it may be a bit more higher. Then we look at a property inspector. A property inspector is something that's really not really heard of quite a lot, right? A property inspector is the last one. Is the person that's responsible for inspecting a property before it becomes, before you buy it. It is a skill. There's a level of skill that's required to it, and I think you can do a short course to qualify as a property inspector. But any reasonable person who's been in the maintenance side, who's worked in maintenance of property, can become an inspector, or can inspect it with your eye, right? So when you're buying a property and you are an uneducated buyer in terms of property, you can walk into a property and think it's perfect. But I can walk into a property. If you watched my video on property searching tips, you would have heard that I said you need to look at the bathroom. If the bathroom is dark, or is the bathroom, it's difficult to breathe in that bathroom. My experience has taught me that that bathroom grows mold, right? And that's an issue. Or experience has also taught me, if I can see that paint is peeling off in a certain section of the room of a property, it means that there is a damp issue. And damp issue can affect, it's a structural issue on like, it's not a paint issue that the paint is peeling off, but it's an actual structural issue which is material to the purchasing of a property, right? So that's what property inspectors do. Sometimes they look at they are responsible for the actual structure of the property and whether it is the condition of the property is material to the transaction of the property or not. Again, here it is a network-based business. It's very entrepreneurial, it's not commission-based, but they charge you a fee to go and inspect. So what this usually does, they sometimes can also work for insurance companies, right? The property inspector can work for an insurance company where they bring out the property inspector. Let's say your geyser burst or your property burnt. They need to look at, how did this property burn down? What was the state of this property? Who was negligent, right? So a lot of property inspectors work for insurance companies or are contracted by insurance companies to look at the state of that property. And I'd like to say in this moment that you should be reading your insurance contracts in terms of your properties, because there are a lot of hidden clauses there that can make you liable for should any material damage happen in your property, be it a fire, be it a collapse, be it a geyser burst, right? What does the insurance say on that? And with that, I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this, please do share it with someone who might find it enjoyable and useful and insightful as well. If you want, please feel free to leave a comment. And if you want to see more of these videos, I would appreciate a subscription. So please do subscribe.